Hey, I'm Uncle Dave. Welcome to Salvage Yard Stories. Let's talk about what'll make a good project car. A lot of people have asked me over the years what would make a good project car. And usually I tell them anything that you can get parts off of easily at a salvage yard. One of the things that you can get parts off of pretty easily is anything with a Ford 4.6 liter V8. This Police Interceptor, Crown Victoria, and this Crown Victoria here have the same 4.6 liter V8. They call it a modular V8 just because of the fact that you can find them in multiple vehicles. About 220 horsepower. Parts are easy to get just because you can get them out of taxi cabs, police cars, privately owned vehicles. And then if you look at the Interceptor, you can also get them over here out of cars like this Thunderbird. This Thunderbird also had a modular 4.6 liter. And with just a few performance parts, that 220 can be raised up pretty quickly. You can have intake manifolds, air boxes, rear end gear ratios, and you can make a pretty fun car. I myself have an Interceptor myself, but if you're not trying to go with that and you want to go with something that's maybe a little more comfortable, you look at that right there. That's the Lincoln Town Car. You know, it's real cushy ride, real soft, but same motor, over here. These are some of the earlier models of the Crown Vics and the Grand Marquis. But even though the body shell is a little different, still the same motor. The 4.6 was used from 95 till almost 2005. Ended up with the same motor even in the Mustangs. That's why it's easy to modify a motor in a Crown Victoria to have some horsepower, because it's the same thing that was sitting in a Mustang GT from about 96 to 05. And you want to talk about crazy stuff. You see the red and white? That was called the Bubble Vics. That's the body style from the mid 90s, but as you can see, that one's white and red. If you ask me why it's white and red, I have no idea, but that's what I mean by stories. You can look at that thing and wonder why it looks like that. My guess is it's not yellow like a taxi cab, so it might have been used at an airport or someplace like that. But again, you look down here at this Crown Vic. That just shows you that if you wanted to build something fun, you would get something made by Ford, maybe like a Mustang, a Crown Victoria, a Grand Marquis, a Town Car, a Mercury Cougar, or a Ford Thunderbird. And there's plentiful parts everywhere because that's a lot of cars using the same motor. So if you look, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. That's quite a few cars just right there, and we're not even talking about the town cars down the way, and even some of the light Ford trucks use the 4.6. So if you were to ask me what would be a good platform, I would say Crown Victorias are cheap. They made millions of them. They made them for, you know, taxi service, police service. The fire departments used them. Some ambulance services use them. And if you can get parts this easily, why not? It's a pretty reliable engine. Just let me see. Let me show you real quick here. What is one of the only things that you have to look out for when you're building one of these cars? This is what a modular 4.6 looks like. And here's your intake. You see this hose? This hose is for your thermostat housing. The thermostat housing is right behind this. This is your ABS module, which allows your brakes to pulse like they used to when you would use your feet. But the thermostat is part of the intake, which is plastic. And of course you can tell that when 200-degree water goes through a plastic intake after time, you're gonna end up with it cracking. They all do that. And then you have to take the entire intake off, which can be very time consuming. Most people won't do that. They'll take it to a shop. So if you're gonna look for one of these to make for a fun project, you wanna see if they've already changed out the intake, because if not, it's not an if it's gonna happen, it's a when it's gonna happen. That and your transmission in these cars. It's a 4-speed overdrive. So when you go to buy one, even though the motor's rock solid, the transmission can have some problems. So you want to check to make sure that your transmission fluid is bright red. You don't want anything brown or anything that smells like burnt hair, because that usually means that the transmission is going to be garbage. But all in all, I think these are really good platforms to build something. If you want to build like a 98 to 05 Mustang, even if you can't find very many Mustangs in the salvage yard, because they were rode hard and put away wet, you will find a lot of these motors still sitting in. These are the SN95 Mustangs, and all of these have either a 3.8 liter V6 or they come with that 4.6 V8. A lot of them come with 5-speed manual transmissions. I've actually seen people take the 4.6 liter V8 out of those Crown Victorias and made it to one of these 5-speed cars. But as you can see, based upon the hood, the back window of that one down there, Mustangs get rode pretty hard and they get wore out pretty good. So when they're worn out and you can't find parts for a Mustang, any parts off of those Crown Vic motors fit perfectly into these cars. And any performance parts that you might find at a junkyard in one of these Mustangs will fit the Crown Vics. That's why it's called a modular motor. They all end up being the same thing. It's just Mustang parts are hard to come by because a Crown Victoria hits 200,000 miles and it still looks like a Crown Vic. These Mustangs can get 100,000 miles and they're all crushed up and wrecked because kids want a Mustang. They don't want a Crown Vic. Older people buy the Crown Vics and realize what they can do to them. So if you look out here too, it's kind of funny in the salvage yard, but there's a 60s Mustang right there in pieces. Let me show you. Here's a mid-60s Mustang. Here's a mid-70s Mustang. And then those are 80s Mustangs, Fox body Mustangs. But this Mustang right here, it's crazy. Nobody wanted that 70s Mustang. They're called the Mustang II. Nobody wants one of those. That's one of the Mustangs they used, two of them, in the Charlie's Angels TV show. One they used was a King Cobra, and the other one they used was called a Ghia, which meant that it was the luxury version, but looked just like that one. The most unwanted Mustang. Even in Mustang clubs, if you end up going to a Mustang group, all the Mustangs will be together at a car show, and they make these poor guys sit out in the open somewhere else because everyone hates them. But of course this one, this is mid-60s. There's not much left of it, but when you look at it, it does make you wonder how many different Mustangs got to stay on the road because of it. Somebody got its doors, somebody got the fender, somebody got the hood, somebody got the motor. So yeah, there's a lot of parts you can find here at the salvage yard that are worth keeping to make a project run better. But yeah, I would say stick to the 4.6s because they're in so many different vehicles. No matter what you pick, a Mustang or a town car, you'll be able to do something with it. If you like learning new information, please feel free to subscribe.